All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Ms. Regina Carter with us. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine. So nice to have you with us here on KLSU Radio, Louisiana State University Radio. And we're all excited about your concert this coming Tuesday night. And thank you so much for taking time to call us. And first, let me congratulate you, your National Endowments of the Arts inductee for 2023. We're so excited. Tell us about that.
Thank you so much. I'm excited and surprised, shocked, all of the above, ecstatic, and with two other Detroiters, Kenny Garrett.
Wow.
And my brain just went. The drummer. Oh my God! I can't believe I'm like spacing like this. Oh my gosh! I got to come back to. But I was so sad that Sue Mingus passed away before that she passed. Period. And I didn't know if she had been sick or not. But
right.
That was really really sad to hear. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have you. I was going back and looked at your stuff, your background, and all that. You played with the Detroit Symphony and took some master classes with Itzhak Perlman and Yehudi Menuhin. Tell us about that.
Right, and the drummer Louis Hayes.
Louis Hayes, yes. Wow.
Having a senior moment.
Wow, Louis Hayes.
How could I forget that? Yeah.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
Yeah, he's been around. Absolutely.
Yeah. I have been a guest soloist with the Detroit Symphony, but I was not a member of the symphony orchestra. But when I was young, when I was a kid, I started violin when I was 4, and I studied the Suzuki method, where you learn to play by ear, the same way we learn to speak, by mimicking. And at the Detroit Community Music School, my teacher would bring in guest artists who were performing with the symphony, and so I had a couple of master classes with Itzhak Perlman, and then in high school, my quartet had a master class with Yehudi Menuhin, and
wow.
The teacher at that time couldn't understand why I wanted to play jazz and thought I was throwing my career away, and said something to that effect to Yehudi Menuhin, and Yehudi picked up his violin and played a little blues lick and said, "Leave her alone," and I just never forgot that.
Wow, that's a great story. And then your tour with Wynton Marsalis in 1997 during the production of Blood on the Fields.
Right.
So
yeah.
that was quite a sort of an opportunity for you.
Exactly.
And exposure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. That put me on the map pretty much.
Well, that's great.
Just such a wonderful opportunity, and playing with such amazing musicians and
right.
Yeah.
I was also telling our audience in the past that you got a chance to play with Paganini's classic 1743 violin, and in Genova.
Right.
So that must be something else. Tell us about that.
Yeah. A friend of mine came up with this idea to play. I had been working on some charts orchestra charts that John Clayton, great bassist, that wrote for me. And he thought, it'd be great if you played some of this music and using Paganini's violin. And so he went back home to Genoa and talked to the mayor about it. And the mayor was a big jazz fan and said yes. But we had to go through a lot of red tape and
the security.
And just people thinking that if I played jazz on the violin, it would somehow, devalue the violin. Same thing that's happened with Lizzo since she played the crystal flute. People
that's
lost their
right.
mind.
Correct.
Yeah, and so, but we had the concert and people loved it. And I think sometimes people hear the word jazz and they don't really know what it is, and they have these preconceived ideas. And so I was really grateful that we were able to have the concert because we dispelled those negative preconceived ideas. And then years later, they allowed Genoa because the town of Genoa owns the violin. They allowed it to travel to New York, and we played a concert here.
Was it after 9/11?
Yes, it was many years after 9/11.
Right,
because the first concert happened about a year after 9/11.
That's incredible. You know, this wonderful recording that you've done, one of my favorite, After a Dream, where you do interpretation of Maurice Ravel and Claude Debussy, and especially that number by Gabriel Fauré, Pavane.
Right. Yes.
Tell us about that. How do you put that together? Beautiful selections.
Well, thank you so much. Again, thinking of music that would work, using that violin and music. Well, not even just that violin, but music that would work, because sometimes you take European classical music and you try to interpret it, and it can sound corny, And so I was having a conversation again with my dear friend John Clayton, and he said, "Well, if you pick the music, try looking at the French Impressionist music, because a lot of their chords were more modern, and it might lend itself better for improvisation."
That's incredible. And then, going from jazz and classical to playing with Aretha Franklin and Billy Joel and Dolly Parton, you had such a beautiful variety background in the music.
Thank you. Yeah, and I owe that. I feel that coming up in Detroit played a huge part in that, because we had Motown was started there in Detroit, and all the jazz musicians played on those sessions. You look up the horn sections and string sections. A lot of the string players were from the symphony. And so everyone just played music. There wasn't this, I was fortunate to grow up in a time where it was just, music was music. It was either good music or bad music. There weren't these divisions of, you can only play this, or.
And then, you transcribed one of those classic Motown Temptations with Cassandra Wilson on one of your albums. That's a beauty.
Yeah, I love that tune. Papa was a Rolling Stone, and having Cassandra, she put the right vibe on it.
Yeah, that's a beauty. And then tell us about this new project that you're going to bring in town, Gone in a Phrase of Air. Tell us, our audience, they love to hear about that.
Well, this piece is a continuation of a work I was commissioned to write some years ago, and I growing up in Detroit, my mother was born and raised in Detroit, born in 1926, and she would tell us these stories of coming up and in an area called Black Bottom, and then there was all these areas where blacks and immigrants were forced to live, and some were poor. She was very poor, but some were wealthy. Some, they had their own businesses, nightclubs. She would go to the clubs, later on in life, and hear folks like Ella and just so many great jazz musicians, Duke, that were coming through Detroit to these black-owned clubs. And then in 1956, the Highway Act was signed, and in most I found out later that in pretty much every urban city across the United States, these communities were destroyed by the Highway Act. They put highways in and drove them straight through these communities and destroyed their businesses and homes, and often they were not compensated for that. And it was done over and over and over again, and some cities and some would not get federal funding if they didn't declare an area a slum in order to knock it down and put in a highway. And even though I have photographs of some of the neighborhoods had beautiful homes, and so it all stemmed from Robert Moses saying, if you want to get rid of these people in these areas, you destroy it by putting a highway in. And so many people don't know about that, but it's still going on. There's still highways being run.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's one in Alabama, I think maybe around Mobile. There was some talks about that. I saw some documentary about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going on and on and on, and so just to, sometimes people don't know about it. I didn't know about it, but also to celebrate. The project is to bring that to light, but also to celebrate these communities and to celebrate the musicians that came out of these communities. And so there's a resilience
Correct.
About the project as well.
Now you're going to have a surprise master drummer with you, Herlin Riley. I can't wait.
Listen, I'm so excited. And my husband sometimes plays drums with me most of the time, and he can't. He's out with someone else, and so he can't do the gig. And I told him, I said, I'm getting Herlin right. He was like, oh, my God, I want to come to the gig now.
I tell a lot of people, I said, when Herlin is on stage, he's an orchestra by himself.
Oh, yeah. An orchestra and a history lesson.
Exactly.
It's so fun to watch. I love watching him and hearing him play. That's any drummer that has a chance, that's a lesson. You just sit right next to him and watch him. That's a lesson right there.
And, I remember he came down a few years back at LSU, Louisiana State University, with Lincoln Center Orchestra and Wynton Marsalis. Mm-hmm. When they opened up, he got up, came down the aisle with his tambourine and went around, and people went crazy.
Oh, yeah. He's a master and a gift, and I'm so honored that he's going to join me tomorrow. Tuesday.
Tuesday night.
I'm ready for the gig to be tomorrow.
Well, we have a beautiful weather for you. No rain. It's going to be cool nights, and I think 85 degrees during the day, so it'll be a beautiful week ahead. And you're going to do a workshop, right?
Yes. I'm going to hear some students play for me, and then I'm going to play for them and just have a
nice
Q&A session and get to know them. So
that's also Tuesday afternoon? Is that great?
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's wonderful. Tell us about the band, and you're going to have a vocalist with you, right?
Yes. So I have, as you said, Herlin Riley on drums. Chris Lightcap on bass has been with me for many, many years.
Right.
Xavier Davis, another incredible musician on piano.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll have a dear friend of mine from Detroit. We played. In fact, she was one of the original members of Straight Ahead.
Oh, yeah.
I used to play with, and so Mickey Braden will be on vocals tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be great. Well, we can't wait for you Tuesday night. Right? Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to give a quick a welcome sort of an introduction before you come on stage. So I'm all excited.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So we get a chance to chat, and also maybe we get a chance to also talk a little bit with Herlin Riley as well.
That'll be great.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to call us, and I'm going to feature your music. Oh, absolutely. And, last time when you came and performed at the old governor's mansion, I didn't get a chance to come. I was just late when I got in. So this time we're going to see you in person. And a lot of people, they bought the tickets and looking forward to it.
Great. Well, so are we. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful, pleasant trip coming down. As they say, bon voyage.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.